Welcome to the Clean Hits Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Brad. We got the entire Clean Hits crew here today with Trent, Corey, and Kenny. And of course, we have another very, very special guest today. And I think he's going to be a fan favorite to all of the Utah Hockey Club fans. We have Egor Sokolov joining us. Arizona Coyote fans were fortunate enough to have a captain with a big heart lead this team for over a decade in Shane Doan. So when the Utah Hockey Club traded for Egor Sokolov, many of the old Yotes fans were smiling. Egor may be known for his pummeling shot, big and, dare I say, clean hits on the ice and that occasional fight, but off the ice, it's a totally different story. Sokolov became a beloved player for both his junior hockey club, the Cape Breton Eagles, and the AHL team, the Bellevue Senders, not only because he was a phenomenal player, but because of his big personality. He turned heads as a 19-year-old when he helped deliver groceries around the community in Cape Breton during the COVID pandemic. Since then, he's always been a personality and very inviting player. He always takes the time out of his day to chat with podcast dorks like us and fans whenever he can. He was the QMJHL leading scorer with nearly 50 goals in the COVID-shortened season and is the Bellevue Senders' all-time leading scorer with 76 goals and 180 points during his time there. This summer, he was traded to the Utah Hockey Club, where his hockey journey will now continue in the western states of the U.S. So without further ado, let's bring on Egor. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys? Happy to be here.
We are doing well. Yeah, awesome. Have you been able to kind of chat with any of the Utah media outlets yet, or be really able to kind of engage with some of the fans?
No, not yet. Once I got traded, I got quite a few messages, I would say. But mostly the messages I got was from kind of like Senators organization fans because, if we get right to it, I was shocked by the amount of messages I got because I was never a full-time player. And the amount of love I received, it was like I did something really positive to make impact on people. So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to hear from more Utah fans as the year goes on, and build a relationship with the fans as well over in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of who you are and what we've all heard about too. And it's just been really impressive to see kind of how you bring the community together. But first off, congratulations on one of the biggest summers of your life. Just a couple of weeks ago, you got married. And, we all have the burning question because we did see you dancing around in the Utah Hockey Club hat at your reception. So we got to know, one, where did you get the hat so quickly? And then two, where did you get those dance moves?
So the hat is, it's a funny story, but so the hat came from, so my wife's brother. He is a friend with one of the goalies that are prospect for Utah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not even gonna bring the name, just gonna keep it out there. Let's say
Sure.
He comes straight from development camp to our wedding. He has his whole hockey gear, everything with him in the hotel. Comes to the wedding, shows up in a hat because he came right from the dev camp. Right, they got the new hats and shit and stuff. And then next thing I see, it's him in a hat. I was like, I gotta get this for a couple dances. And so I had it for about 10 minutes and I gave it back. But I guess somebody was able to take a little video of that, and I didn't even know about it right after. And the moves just come from from all the alcohol and everything you put in your body, and moves just come naturally.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing: I can't dance like that when I'm sober. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, neither can I.
We love seeing it.
I mean, if you haven't watched the video, just search Egor Sokolov wedding dance or wedding Utah hat, and you will find it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You have a fascinating draft story. So you were passed twice during the drafts, and then eventually drafted by the Ottawa Senators in the second round in the 2020 draft class, which was kind of this fabled, really elite draft class as well. What really kept you motivated to keep improving your game each season to be selected in the draft? And then on top of that, that was obviously the COVID year. So what did it feel like when there were so many unknowns after you did get drafted?
Um, yeah, started with everything just going back. I mean, my first 2 years in junior when I came over. So my first year, I had a pretty decent year as a rookie, and a lot of people had me, listed like getting drafted in about second, third round ish. Like I went to top prospect game. Like I went the CHL top prospect game. I had 1-1. Played with Zadina and Hayton on the line, and then they went fifth and sixth, and
Yeah.
I didn't get drafted. So, but yeah, I would say probably just what kept me motivated, the sacrifices I had to make on the journey. Going away from my mom and dad as a 17-year-old across the world. Um, and I also moved away from my family when I was 13 to go to the other city to play hockey. So I've been away from my mom and dad for about 11 years now.
Wow.
So that was one of the sacrifices. Well, I was pretty close to them when I was away, just a 2-hour drive, but obviously they couldn't be there every day, and every time I needed them, right? So that was a challenge as a 13-year-old. And so yeah, all these little things, amount of times my mom had to wake up with me at 6 a.m. to drive me to hockey practice, amount of money they spend on me, on the hockey gear or all the hockey practice. It's not, it's not cheap, right? Hockey's not cheap. So they spend a lot of time, focusing on me and helping me grow as a player. So, and when I went into my 18th year, I thought, okay, let's have a better year and see how it goes. Maybe I get picked, maybe I not, because as an overager, it's a little trickier. It gets a little trickier than being just a draft eligible as your first year. And I had a pretty decent year. I had 30 goals, like two, and I was like, I gave myself a best chance. So I went to Columbus's camp as an invite. My first year, I went to Leafs development camp, and then I went to Columbus's. And then I went to Columbus's rookie camp. I played in Traverse City.
That's
So the
awesome.
next year I don't get drafted. I go back to Columbus's not development camp, rookie camp in Traverse City. So we play, and so Columbus that time didn't have that many prospects, I would say, because they made so many trades there when they
Mhm.
traded for Panarin and stuff. Like they didn't really have draft picks, right? They only had like, yeah, not many prospects, and I guess probably most of them to NCAA, right? They can't come to these tournaments. So they invited about 12 or 13 free agents to play in a tournament. They only had like 8 or 9 of their prospects to play.
Wow.
So I play in a tournament, play like fourth line, like 6 minutes a night. I score 4-4.
What?
Yeah, like no power play or nothing. Led the team in goals. And so I'm going, and somebody told me that was, I don't remember exactly who was, but they said they invited all these free agents just to play the tournament and they're just going to let them go. You know what I
Ugh.
mean? So they can go back to their junior teams. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome. Like, I just put up 4-4 and I'm just going to go home. Like, and so the development coach comes up to me and he's like, hey, bud, like the plan was to release all the free agents and let them go home, but he didn't give us any other options but
Yeah.
keep you for a main camp. So I go to a main camp, play one exhibition game. Like as a free agent, it's a big deal to play in a exhibition game. And I had an assist, and so then the next after the game, they called in all their CHL players and told them they're going home back to their CHL teams, and they didn't tell me anything. So I was like, okay, like I survived another cut. So then we have a day off, and the next day I come in, work out, practice, come out after practice. They tell me you're going back to junior. I was like, you just kept me for one extra day just to practice once, and you're gonna let me go? Like, and the other part was like my junior season was starting, so they cut me on, let's say, on the 20th, and then the game is on the 21st. So they could have just cut me on the 18th, so they didn't think
Yeah.
they were gonna sign
Yeah.
me. So I had time to go to back to junior. So I had to go all the way from Columbus to Bathurst in 20 hours to try to play a game. And Bathurst is in pretty deep out there, and
Yeah.
so I went straight to the game. But that was one of the stories where I was like, man, like I can't catch a break. Like I should have been, signed on an NHL deal now. Like I showed everything, to deserve this chance. And then so that when the year went on, and I just like started scoring every game pretty much, and next thing you know, I get a call for Canada Russia Super Series against the Q, and for us, it's like it's your only opportunity to show what you can do to make the World Juniors camp.
Hmm.
So because they have a whole bunch of tournaments before World Juniors back home in Russia, but we don't go to them, who's in North
Yeah.
America. So, and we only have 2 games. We only played against the Q. We didn't play against OHL or WHL. You only played 2 games. So I knew that I had to show something in that span of period. So I had 2 games, 1-1, feeling good again, and go to World Juniors, play pretty decent World Juniors. I was definitely happy with it. And yeah, and the year just kind of went on, and then next thing you know, I have a chance to crack a 50 goals, and I only played 50 games, like pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously sucks that our season got cut short because of COVID that year. We had a really good team. Like
Yeah.
we had a chance to go all the way to Mem Cup, I think. I still believe that to this day. And then, so I guess for a lot of people, COVID did good things and bad things. For me, probably COVID did a good thing because I was able to put all my life together and just invest into training. So for
Hmm.
9 months straight, I just trained like just that was one of the reasons that I had struggles with. Like I wasn't in a great shape before, and so that year, Eagles, so my team in junior, they let me use the gym all the time for without problems. So and yeah, so I had to make that decision to stay over in Canada, don't go back home and get stuck there. And I stayed in Canada, train, and then yeah, and then I guess end of the story is draft, and draft was stressful for sure. Like it was.
Yeah.
I just remember like you sit down, and that was the first time they did it online, right? Not in
Yeah.
person. So and I remember sitting down, and I just like my agent told me like there's 0.1% chance you don't get drafted, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There is a chance. I was like in my head, I was like, there is a chance that I was like, there's no way there's a chance I don't. And then draft started going on, and he was so slow. The second round, like it
It
felt
was
like it
so
already
slow.
been, it felt like it was like round 7. And I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
sitting there, and I'm like looking at the time, it's like 2.5 hours deep, and we're still like second round. But in my head, I'm like, oh, we're in 7th round. I'm not getting drafted. Look up, it's like pick 51.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then yeah, I get picked, and yeah, it's just that feeling was like, okay, everything I sacrificed and everything I've done
Yeah.
finally paid off. So
Did you have any inkling that you were going where you're going? Did you have any heads up, or were you completely caught off guard by it?
honestly, I've talked to every single team in that span of the
No.
season ending, and towards the draft, I talked to everybody. So it was like, I don't know. Every meeting was different. Every team is approaches you different, and so I was like, I don't even know who like I feel like are closer to me or further from me. So yeah, it was definitely tricky, but I was just trying to not overthink. I was like, even if it's a 7th round last pick, but I get picked, it's all that matters, and go from there. So yeah.
Yeah, and from a fan perspective, you had a decent amount of hype that year. You played really great, and I think people noticed that you were getting in shape. I remember listening to different podcasts and stuff ahead of the draft, and Sokolov was definitely a big topic. Everyone was talking about how high a double overager could go in the draft and stuff like that. So I think your agent was right. It was like 5 zeros before that one chance you were going to go, because
Yeah,
you
for
definitely
sure.
had eyes on you that year for sure. You did what you needed to do to get everyone to pay attention. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, on top of just the play, it seems like everywhere you go, you become a fan favorite. You bring positive energy everywhere you go, and you can really kind of help build up the community around the team and the team itself. It seems like this is something that's really resonated with your character and just makes you such a energy to be around. And I mean, I think we can all tell right now, just with kind of going back and forth with you. How do you feel like you will be able to bring that to this new organization and potentially Utah or Tucson and moving out west and just carrying that with you? Is that something you're looking forward to do and starting to kind of put your roots down in the western side of the US and just kind of develop that community building from scratch? Or is it something that you'll just kind of figure out once you get here?
Yeah, I feel like what I'm gonna say is just me being myself. It's just gonna go naturally. You know what I mean? I'm not going out of my way. It's not like I'm going out of my way answering people or talking to people. You know what I mean? I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
So I think everything is just gonna come together naturally. You know, I'm not even worried about that. Like I know it's gonna happen eventually. You know, maybe not right away, but as the time goes on, I'm sure it's gonna happen. So it's like I'm not even like worried or concerned about it. You know, like I just feel like it's just that's who I am and what I
Yeah.
bring to the table. So I feel like it's just gonna come in naturally, and I'll have no problem with it.
That's incredible to hear. That's just you, and that's exactly what I'm sure so many fans want to hear, and we can't wait to see how you bring that and how that develops out here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited to meet new people. Just yeah, it's always exciting. I like talking. I like
Yeah,
interacting. So it's part of me. It's part of my job as well, right? It's part of any hockey player like job. Like it's people pay a lot of money to come and watch the games, right? So it's definitely the way to pay back and just have that interaction with people.
As fans, we love to hear that. By the way, because I dumped a lot of money into a team that doesn't even exist anymore. So it's really cool that you do consider that part of your job. So we want to say thank you.
Oh, no
Absolutely.
problem.
yeah, and it feels like you're really well known around the Senators organization, like you mentioned. You had tons of people reaching out to you after the trade happened. So now, as you're coming over to this new team, what do you want Utah fans to know about you as a person and as a player? I think you're already really defining yourself pretty well, but is there anything else you'd like for all the fans to know?
Oh, I mean, as a person, is just naturally happy and love having a good time. Laughs and
Yeah.
don't be negative, be positive, bring a smile to the rink. I would say that would be the biggest thing. But as a hockey player, I guess I know how to put the puck in the back of the net. That's one of the things that I know how to do. And but as the years goes on, there's a lot of other sides of the game that I have developed that I'm keeping a pride in as playing as a two-way player. I think my game took a huge step forward this year being a two-way player. So that's what a lot of times before, if you ask Igor Sokolov and say, hey, how do you feel about this game, and if I didn't score anyhow, I would be like, ugh, that game sucked. But now, if somebody asks me how was your game, how was your game, and I have two or three nice back checks or stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I didn't score, but I had a positive impact on the game. So like those kind of things. So yeah, I would say just guy who's a touch around the net and who loves to work hard. So yeah, that would be the biggest thing.
Love to hear that.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
awesome.
for new Utah fans who are a little new to hockey, putting the goal in the back of the net is definitely an important skill.
Yeah, you might need that.
Kind
A
of
few
goes
times.
without saying, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we definitely want. Yes.
And then finally, I just wanted to mention that you got the big road trip coming up. I heard you talking on Locked On Sens that you and your wife are going to be driving out to Utah. I've myself driven out to Minnesota and back, so kind of driven through some of those areas you may be going through. Are there any big stops you got circled, and you need any recommendations? We can let some of the fans chime in on Twitter and whatnot, and let you know where you got to stop.
Yeah, right now we have circled Chicago and Denver. That would be the two priorities, I think. So yeah, if you have any other options, just let me know later on for sure. And
Yeah.
people can let me know. But yeah, right now, just trying to get there as quick as possible, I would say would be the number one priority. Kind of,
Okay.
obviously Obviously, driving through and stopping at a lot of places would be awesome, but I don't want to stretch the drive to 5, 6 days, and I just don't do anything for 6 days. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
circled couple right now. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to driving through, and obviously we'll stay overnight and stuff. We'll get the chance to see some stuff, so I'm excited.
Very cool. Yeah, the West, especially that kind of Utah, Colorado area, is just magnificent. So I think you guys are going to have a great time.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Denver is like one of my. I actually lived in Colorado for a couple years, and Denver's probably like top 5 cities for me. It's incredible. There's
Really?
so much to do
Awesome.
down there, and it's just beautiful.
Nice.
So I'm just spend as much time as you can there. I would say. Plan it out.
Yeah.
This is the right
Try
time
my
of year
best.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. And I think we got some questions from Corey about some of your past experiences on your AHL and junior teams.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you again, Igor, for doing this. And just kind of going off what Brad said there. So obviously the big move coming and just looking at your career since you came to North America, you were in the Canadian Maritimes in a small city on the water. Then you go to Belleville, a small town in Ontario, and then you get to play in the Canadian capital. So what's your thinking now in getting to, move to the United States, and whether you're going to be playing in Salt Lake City and surrounded by the mountains, or you might be playing in Tucson where it's desert and heat and a totally different culture than what you've been used to so far?
Yeah, I would say I'm excited for sure. Get to see a lot of more cool stuff. I mean, out east in Cape Breton, it was, it was a really good junior town. You know what I mean? There's no distractions for a young hockey player.
Mhm.
I would say that would be the number one thing. You can just play hockey and not not get in a lot of bad stuff. So that would be the best way to describe it. And obviously, it gets beautiful as well. Like, it's on the ocean. It's there's a lot of cool stuff to see. And playing in Belleville was, just, I would say, pretty similar as Cape Breton. Really small community. Obviously not on the ocean, but there was a lot of beautiful stuff around it. And obviously, if you want to go and you have a day off and drive to Toronto, is only 2 hours, so it's not that big. If you feel like you need to go, and I mean, we went to like Raptors games a couple times. That's kind of not a bad spot to play as well. But I'm just looking forward to see kind of like a big city life. Just bigger cities, bigger community, and obviously in Tucson, it's heat, right? So so I'm excited. I would say my wife is definitely excited about that one as well if I go there.
And are
The
you the
cool-
outdoorsy type? Are you somebody where if you are in Salt Lake on the days off, you're going to be enjoying skiing, that sort of thing? Or if you're in Tucson, maybe it's a hike?
Yeah, I would say we're probably not going to be hiking. but,
Wait, you don't like Boeing walking? Come on, it's amazing, right?
Scorpions
yeah,
and
I get,
rattlesnakes. That's perfect. Yeah.
sometimes I get out there for a walk sometimes, but yeah, just I think probably what I'm looking forward to is just exploring new stuff, right? Is obviously she'll keep me busy with whatever she wants to do, and yeah, we're both just looking forward to something new, right? It's definitely exciting exploring new stuff and parts that you've never seen before. So, and a lot of people talking and positively about it. So I'm just looking forward to getting there.
Mhm. And looking back again to your time in Belleville, 4 seasons there, you leave as the franchise's all-time leading scorer. Can you just speak to your success over your time there? And then as well, what's maybe part of your game that you still need to work on? That's if you continue to build that aspect of your game, that's going to really help you make the jump to the next level, to the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say definitely happy how with my time in Belleville. I mean, if you're gonna ask anyone and they say that they led pretty much the team in every aspect there is as a player, they're not gonna tell you, "Oh, I wish I did that and that," right? So
Mhm.
I can't say anything but say that I'm happy with how everything went. And you know what? A lot of people, I would say, a lot of people always talked about my skating and stuff, but generally, well, after last season and everything, I see myself that I don't have to worry about skating as much anymore. It's got to the point where I can compete with a lot of guys. And we went to Ottawa's camp and we did like a skating test, and I was like in top 5. You know what I mean? So like those are the things that I'm not worried about. I would say just probably putting all the puzzles together as a hockey player and everything I've learned over years, and just be myself, not try to be anyone else. So putting all those puzzles together and know what I'm good at and show what I'm good at would be, you know what I mean? A lot of times when you get called up in from AHL to NHL, you want to be, you think in your head, okay, I got to do this differently. I have, I don't have as much time on the ice at the start, right? Like, so I need to go out there and take 45 hits. So, my coach noticed me. So I would say for me, I was kind of like that. I was overthinking it. Okay, how am I gonna have to do this and that and this? But looking back at it in general and talking to a lot of people, and they just said, just be you. You're there for your strengths, not your weaknesses, right? So show your strengths, and your weakness is just gonna go away by you playing, your strengths. And so the biggest part to it is just putting all the puzzles together that I've learned over the last 4 years being a professional hockey player. So that would be the biggest thing.
And is that something you're continuing to build on? We know that you're spending the summer working with Matt Nickel, who's a really, well-renowned hockey development coach. Is that something you're continuing to work on with him? And how did that whole partnership come together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably this summer I'm finally where I'm at this point where, okay, I don't have to do power skating 14 times a week, right? I do it once a week where I just, just my muscle memory doesn't forget about it, right? So that's where I have a lot more time to work on the other things and learn from other guys that there is on the ice. One of the guys that I'm looking at every practice, Tom Wilson. It's
Oh,
this guy skates with me, works out with me, and I can
Mhm.
see him. I can see myself playing like him, trying to be like him, right? Like, because he's big and just has that that edge to his game. And
yeah.
just and watching him every day, it's like, okay, he does this, how can I do this? And so yeah, but the my summer training with Matt Nickel is my first time training with him. And I used to train out east in Halifax. I skated a couple summers with
Looks like we lost Igor.
Oh, he's backstage.
There he is.
oh,
Hey.
sorry,
You're
what
back.
happened? Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were saying
So
that you had previously trained out in Halifax before linking
yeah,
up with Michael. Yeah.
with McKinnon and Crosby and Marchand, I skated there for a couple summers.
Never
And
heard of him.
then yeah, and then yeah, it's not a bad skate there. I would
Right,
say
exactly.
it gets real competitive out there. I'll tell you that for free.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, and then last summer I spent my whole summer in Ottawa. I was like, I'm gonna give myself a best chance to make NHL roster. So I just like sacrificed a lot of things, got a house in Ottawa, and just spent the whole time training there. Just as a young guy trying to break into the league and being that close, you want to do all the things right. And that was one of the things where I thought I gave myself the best chance to become an NHL player. I'm there with the strength coaches that is in Ottawa, skating with their development coaches. They see me every day. They see what I'm doing in the summer. So I guess now I can say that it didn't work out the way I wanted it, but it is what it is because I, kind of sacrificed a lot of things, just, Ottawa. I would say if you tell me where would I rather train, Ottawa or Toronto, I would probably say Toronto because my wife is here and, but I went to Ottawa there for a whole summer and sacrificed a lot of things. And yeah, and obviously this summer I was like, me and my wife were talking about where should I train, and she just kind of said, let's just stay in Toronto this summer. And then I knew Matt Nickel because he's linked up to Ottawa, right? So he's he's works for Ottawa. So I decided just to go with him, and it's been great. It's been fantastic. He really knows what he's doing. He really, you really can ask him a question about anything. He knows like he knows food, he knows supplements, he knows treatments, he knows strength, he knows what kind of stretches you need to do. Like he literally knows anything that hockey player needs. He's not specific for anything. He knows everything. So I think that's the coolest part about it all, and just the way they prepare you for a season. It's doing a lot of details and stuff like that, and yeah. So I've been having fun.
Would
That's
you say
awesome.
that's
It kind of
go ahead.
there's some like parallels there, right? I'm seeing where you had those couple of draft years where you got passed over and you took that as motivation and put in the work and made the
Right.
changes and grew and matured, and then finally you got selected. And it seems like there's kind of a parallel with these last couple training camps too. Like it's all kind of leading to this moment and the new setting, and I have a feeling it's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
As all these puzzle pieces come together, like you said.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
exciting.
Yeah. Like I told that, to my parents and stuff, like after last year's camp, there's sometimes where you like, okay, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done this. I looked at it and I said, I did everything in this camp
Right.
to be an NHL player and make the roster. Like they in Ottawa, they prided the off ice testing, top
Mhm.
five. They pride in on ice testing, top five. That's where everything kind of builds up. So I came in and I was like, here you go, like this is your guys train me whole summer. I'm ready for this, and just playing all the games and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I gave myself the best chance to be making this roster, and obviously, sucked it didn't happen, but here we are. I'm looking forward to a new chapter. Just yeah, just looking forward to coming in and meeting everybody and just show what I can do.
Right.
And as far as your time in Belleville, or maybe some of the international games you've done with the Team Russia as well, is there a moment or maybe a biggest accomplishment of your hockey career that really stands out?
First NHL goal probably will be up there.
Mhm.
Walk
Obviously,
us
first
through it. How did it go? The first NHL goal.
Did you black
Oh,
out?
no, wait. Say it again. Sorry.
Yeah, walk us through that first NHL goal. How was it? Who was it
Oh,
against, and what happened?
we played against Tampa at home, and then so I was kind of forechecking in neutral zone, and Chernak pulled the puck like all the way to his zone, and I guess he like toe picked or something, and he fall, and the puck went right on my tape, and I went breakaway, and I went fake shot, pulled through my forehand, 5-hole, and then yeah.
Was that Vasilevsky?
No, it was Brian. It was Elliot.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Still, I mean,
all right.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
and then I looked back at it. I was like, well, what just happened? I said I never go 5-hole on the breakaways. Why did I go 5-hole? But it definitely worked out. Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment. And yeah, first NHL game in Boston was up there. Silver at the World Juniors. There's a lot of things you look back at it. It's just like it was cool to be part of, and cool, and something to be proud of as well. So yeah, definitely
Awesome.
those moments right now.
Awesome. And just one more question from me, just sticking with the goalie theme as well. We know your brother Max is a goalie back home in Russia, playing in the junior league there. And, a little bit of an age gap between the two of you. But if you can just speak to the relationship you two had growing up, and maybe that's where your shot came from, and having a goalie to really practice on.
I mean, I would say probably the biggest thing out of this whole, I'm the reason he's the goalie, because I would put him in anything that looks like a net and just hammer tennis balls at him. Like, he would wake up every morning just bruised up. His like quads are bruised because I hit him just like right straight in the quad with the tennis ball. But the funniest thing, he had the flip flops like kind of on right there. That would be like a blocker, and then he had like a pad like this would be his glove, and yeah. So yeah, that was probably I'm the reason he's the goalie. But now, looking looking at this now, every time I go home for a summer and we go on the ice together, and I'm able to go out there and shoot on him for an hour and a half, hour, it's like it's so cool. You know what I mean? It's just like, and seeing the way he grows and the way he learns from me, because for him it's a definitely easier than it was for me, because I didn't I couldn't look up to anyone to tell me, okay, I gotta stop eating like crap. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta start taking care of myself. He's a 14, 15-year old, realized like, okay, I gotta take care of myself. And now as a 19, he's just physically more mature than I was. because he trains with me when I go home, and then he eats like I am. He just does everything like I am, and it pays off. And he had a really successful year last year. Like he led the league as a rookie in shutouts. So yeah, just looking back at it all, he had a tough road as well. Like when he was younger, he started as a goalie, then he was getting sick all the time, so he couldn't play hockey just because of the health issues. Like he just get cough every time he goes on the ice, pretty much. Quits hockey for a couple of years, then plays every single sport there is. Like I don't know what he didn't play. There's more sport that he didn't play that played. So and yeah, so now seeing him grow as a hockey player and as a goalie and getting more mature every year. So it's pretty cool to see.
Awesome. We'll have to keep an eye on him for the next couple of drafts.
Right.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely love somebody taking a swing at him for sure.
We'll be sure to pump his tires here on this podcast all season. Yeah.
You pumped him with enough tennis balls. It's the least we can do.
Yeah. Did I ever?
And now talking about, looking back on childhood, growing up with your brother back in Russia, what was it like for you? I mean, you mentioned that he had you to look up to. You didn't have as many people to look up to in the hockey world. What was that like growing up as a hockey player back home, whether it's youth hockey or like even as you're growing into like an MHL style? Who did you look up to? What were your influences? How did you get started? How did you end up on this track?
I mean, I started my career like hockey when I was like 4 or 5. I think my mom was the biggest influencer on that. She just like felt that I'm gonna be a good hockey player for some reason. Even though I hated hockey, I was like, I hate this. Like I hate going on the ice. Like for 2 years I was crying every time I get on the ice. But then once I got hold of it, that was the biggest probably like, okay, this might work out. This kind of at 7 I'm scoring like 10 a game. It's like, what's going on here? Yeah. And then as the years went on, I was just keep getting better and better, and I was a lot ahead of a lot of kids growing up and I was just big. I was just huge, like a huge kid. Every time like we go on the road, like everybody would be asking for my like birth certificate and shit. Like as a 9-year-old, I looked like 12, 13-year-old. Like so that was the thing. And then as a 13, that was probably the biggest step when I moved away to the other city, away from my parents. And the team I went to was like the best team in Russia. Like usually it's like the best school that you can go to. Like every time we played against them as my team, like we would lose like 18-3. Like it was like not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the years went on, I became a captain of the team, led the league every year, and then and then was that huge step where I was like, okay, like I want to explore North America, and thankfully was able to get drafted by K Bradden and move over and just feel. A lot of kids growing up, you back home, you always ask what you want to do, what you want to do. Like, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to America to play hockey. Like, I want to get there, I want to get there. So, and not a lot of kids, it works out. You know what I mean? So it's hard. And, there's every year, about what, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 Russians maybe getting drafted in CHL, and about thousands wanted to be drafted.
Yeah.
So if you make to that 0.23%, like you got to be lucky in doing something right. So yeah, and then from there, it's just when I was able to move over to Canada, that's where I knew like hockey is my job, and that's where I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna make my money and my living out of. So yeah.
Buckle down there. And is that kind of like the general view? Was it like in youth hockey and minor hockey when you were playing in Russia that like getting over to North America and going to Canada, like that's the way? Or there's some kids are super hardwired to be like, I want to go to MHL, VHL, KHL route. Is it like two mindsets and you're one of two kids, or is it really universally like go to North America?
I would say probably there's a lot of guys who are too mindseted, because there's a lot of example of different guys. Like you look at the guys like Ovi, he came over early and played his whole entire career and had no problems. But then you look at the guys like Panarin, like he came over when he was 24, 25 and makes a huge impact on, playing the first year. So I think there's no like in between it. Either you go nice and early as a junior player and come over and get adjusted, or you go as a, you know, man at 24, 25, go over and start playing hockey there. So I would say, yeah, I would say like a lot of guys are, you know, looking, who I was talking to growing up to, somebody wanted to go through, the way playing in Russia, and then some guys wanted to, go through North America. But like I'm gonna say, there's a lot of guys that came over with me to North America that just didn't work out in North America. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's hard. You got to be able to hang in here, and AHL is a hard league, and a lot of guys, like, I would say, get frustrated, playing a year or two, and they're like, okay, I'm playing 1 or 2 years in AHL. If it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna go straight to Russia and make money there. So you gotta have some patience. You gotta have some, I would say, balls to be able to, do this, right? So yeah. So like I said, there's been a lot of times where I see a couple of guys, like, they only played 1 year in AHL and they're done. They're going back to KHL. It's like, why are you going back to KHL already? You know what I mean? You most likely, unless you go to KHL and you be the best player, you never probably get an opportunity at NHL. You're literally league below. You're one call away from being in an NHL. So now you're, getting yourself a thousand kilometers away from NHL. So
Yeah, it's like you're so close to your dream, and then it ends right there. And do you think that a lot of that is the on ice differences between North American and Russian hockey? Do you think a lot of it's like off ice culture stuff that players are dealing with, homesickness, that kind of thing? Or what do you think it is that gave you the edge to be able to have success in the AHL and set yourself up going to an NHL camp this year to really make a difference versus some of the guys who maybe had talent and drive, but couldn't really make it long term? What do you think the difference is?
yeah, I would say probably there's a lot of things you consider as obviously number one would be the homesickness. It's not that easy as everybody thinks to go away from your family and see them once a year. Like it's not that easy. But for a lot of guys, I would say just on ice as well. Like American Hockey League is a hardest league in the world, I would say. Like if you ask me, if I played, not too much in an NHL, but it's not, I would say, easier to play in NHL, but it's just like a different, like the AHL, American Hockey League, takes a lot of you as a hockey player. Like it's a hard league. You fight for every inch. Like you fight for every inch. And I've seen a lot of KHL games. I've seen a lot of NHL games. And my dad seen a lot of KHL games and AHL games, and he's like, dude, like this is not even comparison. Everybody's talking about KHL being number 2 in the world, but there's no way. Like AHL it looks way harder to play. So yeah. So I would say probably a lot of guys, they come in and they don't have success in their first year as well. Like, you know what I mean? They don't put up these crazy numbers that they want to put up in AHL, and they're like, okay, I can't do this. I'm just gonna go home. So you can look at it from, on ice and off ice perspective. There's a lot of going into it. So a lot of guys just, able to kind of, go through that, and next thing you know, they lead the team in points and they get their first NHL goal and game and stuff, and everything works out for them. So
Yeah, that perseverance, the ability to push through, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Kenny, go ahead.
No, you're good. I just love that perspective of, the AHL almost being more difficult than the NHL, because you think about it, like these guys are so close to their dream. They're going to fight, for
Hungry.
Yeah, they're hungry, right? The Always Hungry League, right? So
yeah.
I actually never thought of it that way. And I could see how it could be kind of a bloodbath. And obviously you don't get the same amenities in the AHL that you do at the NHL. So it's almost like that chase makes it a more difficult league. So I actually really like that perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, so you mentioned, Igor, that you had you mentioned a lot of legends there, Ovi, Panarin. I wanted to play a little bit of a game with are you familiar with Start Bench Cut? Do you know that game?
No.
So I'm going to give you 3 players. Pick one that you would start, who you'd rank the highest. one that you would bench, who's kind of number 2, and cut is number 3.
Okay.
So Russian Legends edition, right? These are older players. Between Evgeny Malkin, Pavel Datsuk, and Sergei Fedorov. Who do you start, bench, or cut?
I would say I'll start with Datsuk just because he's from my hometown.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
We're both from the same hometown, and I've seen him a lot. I've seen him a lot. I have a lot of autographs from him. Bench and cut, like that's
It's tough.
I would say I would bench Malkin because I've seen him play more than I have seen Fedorov play.
Okay.
That would be the only reason. That would be the only reason.
All right. Yeah. And listen, they each have multiple cups. There's Art Ross's, Selkies, Calder, Conn Smythe's, Hart, Lindsay. I mean, you name it. These guys have it. It's like all the hardware. So that's a tough one. All right. So we're going to start Datsuk, the hometown hero. We're going to bench Malkin, and we're going to cut Fedorov just because he's a little bit older and you haven't seen as much of him. All right. Great answers. Appreciate
and
it.
It's smart too, because you cut the guy that's not in the league right now. So
that's
exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Right. So
he may not even want to go out right now.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta ask, just because we're all curious. I mean, we're in this like weird waiting game to find out what the name is. Do you have any input on the name out of the finalists of Yeti, Mammoth, Venom, Blizzard, Outlaws, or Hockey Club?
For the name?
Yeah, Utah.
Oh. See, like I don't know what I like. You know what I mean? It's like whatever they decide to like have it, I'm gonna like. You know what I mean? I like how every single team sounds. You know what I mean? I don't have like a preference. They all
a lot of guys are saying they like Mammoth, and I think a lot of fans are saying they like Outlaws. And Yeti's kind of the crowd.
Yeti's cool.
Yeah.
I would go Mammoth, but I think Yeti's gonna win. I'm starting to warm up to Yeti. At first, I was like, man, I don't know what that's gonna like, the abominable snowman on the front, but I think Yeti will win. It's obviously pretty popular, but do you like the colors?
I love the colors. The colors.
Are they sick? I love them.
Yeah.
That baby blue is awesome.
So good, and I actually got myself a baby blue suit just because. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Did you watch the draft? Did you watch the draft at all? The two kids they picked first, Ginla and Baudouin, they both happen to be wearing full baby blue suits.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy coincidence. Yeah,
unreal.
Some kind of conspiracy. Now I feel like I got to go get a baby blue suit if I'm going to be following this team. So what's your preferred jersey number, and what's the story behind it? I feel like everybody's got like a hockey jersey number story. I'm curious what yours is.
Honestly, I always wanted 68 because of Yager. Yager was my idol growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So then my first ever number, I got 37. I liked it. But then I moved over to the other city, got 29 because 37 wasn't available. Loved 29. I was like, I love 29. Then I went to Team Russia a couple times. I'm like, okay, I'm getting 29 for Team Russia. I'm sticking to this number forever. Like 29 is a goalie number, Team Russia. Can't have 29. Can't have 29. They're giving me 26. I'm like, okay, 26, not bad too. I like it. I like it. So then I'm like, okay, it's 26 in Team Russia, 29 back in home. Then I get to MH. I played 15 games in MHL my last year. So I'm like, they're asking me, what do you want? I'm like, 26 or 29? No, 23. We get 20. So I get 23. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, is there anything I could stick to at some point?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, no problem. Go over to Cape Breton. They're like, what number you want? I said 29. They said, are you nuts? 29 is retired. Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh man, yeah, I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this was a good start. I was like, 26. They're like, sure, 26. So I'm like, okay, awesome. Played 3 years with 26. Go to World Juniors. They're like, what number? I said, 26, please. They're like, 26 is taken. We got 13. I was like, okay, 13 is half of 26. I like it. So then I go to Belleville, and then they like, what number you want? I was like, 26. 26 is taken. 13. I'm like, 13 is not taken. Can I have 13? They're like, yeah, go ahead. So I got to 13. Played my first year. Was pretty successful year. Played my second year. So my third year, 26 becomes available, and my trainer comes up to me. He's like, "You want 26?" I was like, "Nah, I'm just sticking to 13 now." So that would be the story behind my number. To be
I
honest,
love
not,
it.
not really anything. Yeah, I just kind of got what I was given every time.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. Sometimes you get such a generic answer to that. Yeah. No, that's what it was assigned to me. So to hear the journey and the pain and agony that you had to go through just to land on a number.
I had every single number pretty much. Like
Right. Exactly.
The sacrifices you've made
Yeah.
for the numbers.
yeah, for real.
I think, and I don't know if this is official, but I checked out the Utah Hockey Club official website, and it looked like Hayton, who you're familiar with, just switched from number 29 to 27, which is the number he wore in the Sioux. So, I mean, 29 might be up for grabs.
Yeah, if I have an option to pick a number, hope I just have to make a team to pick a number. Usually, as a young guy, they just throw a number at you. So, like in Ottawa, I had 75 in Ottawa, so I never had a chance to switch it. So,
yeah, might be a dominance move. You just walk in there like, I'm taking 29. How do they send you back after that?
I just have to have that mindset that I'm taking 29.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So what would you choose as your personal goal song? Like, do you have like a favorite artist?
I love Drake. Drake would be my number one. I love Drake's.
Do you know what song you would pick if you got to
the biggest song that got stuck to me, the Rich Flex from her last album?
Oh yeah.
Can you do something for me? So that would be the one I take for sure.
Well, now you got to be number 21 because
I know. 21. Well, I've been 20. Oh no, I never been 21. I might have been 21 somewhere at some point. Team Russia for sure. 21 I had on my back.
Sounds like the chances are high that you guys switch to 21 at some point. If you, and this is kind of, I know we dove into this a little bit, but who would be your all-time, and this could be from any era, dream line mates? Like if you got to pick two other guys.
My all-time dream line mates from any era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at it, probably, if I was just gonna say, it would be Lemieux and Gretzky. Like that that would be silly to say, but I would say. I would say probably not Ovi because Ovi scores all the goals and I like to score too. So I would say, going back to it, probably Datsuk as my center.
Yeah.
And then, no, honestly, I would put Datsuk. Yeah, Datsuk as my center, and then Draisaitl as my left winger.
Draisaitl, dude, that makes like unreal passes. So that's a good, that's a good call out. I think I could even score 20 goals on a line.
For real.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I just like you, when you were younger, I cry every time I hit the ice. So, like, so who's been like your all-time favorite teammate and why? Like, I know that you probably, I mean, you seem like an outgoing guy, so you probably make friends with everybody. But who was your favorite teammate so far?
I would say probably there's a lot of them, but in junior I had other European player. His name is Leon Gavanke. He was from Germany, and I thought that we just like kind of like stuck together really well. Like he would be number one, but there's not enough fingers on my hands to be able to tell you like the amount of favorite teammates I've had. But he probably would stuck out with the most because I know him from junior and we still talk to this day pretty much every day. So like that would be probably the reason I would call him.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people would choose you as their favorite teammate. So
yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. Just one last quick one. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I think we might be interested in keeping you around for a quick game of puck doku. So what's your favorite sport besides hockey? Like what do you watch on a regular basis?
I got into football.
Like a North American football or soccer?
Yeah.
Okay.
That last year, my first year, where I was like, okay, I'm watching football from now on, because everybody always talked about it, and I had no clue what it is. Like, I had no idea, like, what the yards are, like, what are they supposed to do,
Yeah.
why they get 7 points or 6 points on a touchdown, 1 point an extra point. Like, I had no clue. And
Right.
everybody, every time we come, like, to the rink on Monday, and everybody just starts talking about the games, and I'm like, dude, like, what the hell are you talking about? So now I love it. I love it. I watch the quarterback on Netflix and the receiver on Netflix, and I love it even more.
That's funny.
Who's your team?
I'll tell you a funny story. Who's my team is San Francisco 49ers.
Oh,
Whoa, that's the same as Cole's too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cole
that's
Brown,
right.
we interviewed him, and he said 49ers. Yeah.
Yeah. But the funny story about it all was, okay, I got into football. I got to get Madden on my PS5. So I get to Madden, and I start playing as my quarterback, road to glory career story. And I go through combine, and guess who drafts me? 49ers. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Destiny.
49ers my favorite team. So they drafted me in a video game, and I said, okay, that's my favorite team. So
They got some Arizona connections. Brock Purdy's from
Yeah,
Arizona,
so,
Gilbert area, and then Brandon Ayuk was ASU Sun Devil.
Yeah.
it seems like he wants out. So
I know.
Yeah,
It seems to be
that'll
the
be a
ongoing
different
thing.
podcast.
Yeah.
We got an open spot in one of my fancy leagues if you want to join.
I was just going to ask him for that. Now he sniped me on it. No, it's funny that you mentioned the Arizona connections there, because actually the funniest part is that most Arizona fans can't stand 49er fans. So you're in a safe space in Utah. So, but yeah, I think now would be a cool time to pull up the game of Goku. Again, we're a bunch of hockey nerds, so we're going to try to get through it.
Okay, you guys think quicker than I am, because I gotta go to golf here in shortly. So let's get it done quickly.
We'll do it quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got pulled up. We got the grid today. I mean, you already mentioned Yager, so we got to put him in here, right?
Yeah.
And he was on the Flames at one point. Was that the last team he played on in the NHL?
Jaromir Yager would fit into a bunch of those
he
squares.
Would play not years, was it?
No. So it's just the columns in
New
the rows.
Jersey,
So
New
this would
Jersey,
just be
Calgary. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You
Calgary.
New Jersey and Calgary. Didn't he play Washington too? Right. So,
yeah, he played.
Oh yeah,
Washington
he did
and
play
Calgary.
Washington. So
Yeah,
either
that's a
one
good spot right
works.
there.
Which one do you think's more unique?
Let's go
Probably.
Washington.
Okay.
Yager, number 68. You know, my 10U
Boom,
player,
right
my
there.
son wears 68 too, Igor. So
Nice.
I got to let him know that
Nice.
was your first number too.
Do we just go to Foley or Sharon Govich here?
Yeah.
Sure, go with the Russian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Sharon Govich at all?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
I know that he's pretty good at hockey. That's for sure.
Heck yeah, dude.
Boston and Jersey can be
Colorado earlier.
That could be Michael Ryder.
Wood.
Yeah.
Wood for Colorado and Jersey. Yep.
That's a good
Good
one.
call.
Is it Miles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys,
There he is. Look at the mug.
Only 8% picked that. That's surprising
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah. All right. Avalanche and Capitals. I feel like
How
there's a
about
goalie
Steve
connection there.
Konowalchuk?
What's his name? The goalie, Kemper.
Yeah.
Kemper, that's true.
Yeah.
And then we get some Zona connection. Boom.
Kemper. There he is.
All right.
All right.
Boston, Jersey. I mean, Hamilton's an easy one,
Oh, yeah, Dougie.
but
Throw Dougie in there.
Yeah.
all right.
He's got to make his tea time.
There he is.
Wow, only 7%.
Hey, I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Capitals and
Caps,
Boston.
Capitals in Boston.
This next column will be easy. Caps, Boston.
Why am I not thinking about anyone?
Let's see here. Let's think of some throwbacks.
Goalies are always a safe bet.
Did
Jensen
Boyd
Carter?
ever play for the Capitals, or did he just get drafted and then re-enter and go for Boston. Put him in, see if he works. Did Boynton
Who?
ever play for the Capitals?
Nick Boynton did. Oh no.
I think he maybe got drafted by them and then didn't sign. Let's see.
Let's try it.
I might get it wrong.
Incorrect.
Oh, bummer. Damn.
I blew it.
Trans voted out the island.
That's it.
Yeah. What did you say, Corey? Would you say Anson Carter?
Yeah, Anson Carter for that one.
Oh, okay. There we go. Dance and Anson. All right. Why don't we leave the next column for later so that Igor can make his tea time? What do you think?
Yeah. Love
All
that.
right.
Because I have no idea any of those.
Yeah. We're gonna start.
I wasn't even born yet, so
That's true.
Well, awesome. Thank you so
Igor.
much for joining, Igor. We had a lot of fans in our Discord submit some questions. So thanks for everybody that sent us questions to ask you. Big shout out to Neil Jensen on kind of the Utah hockey community for sending us some of the new Utah shirts. We can't wait to see you at training camp. We can't wait to see you on the team. Go hockey,
Awesome.
The hockey club, go Utes. I guess, what are we saying yet? We'll have to figure that out. Either way, have a safe ride down to the
Thank you.
Southwest, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Igor.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Good luck today.
See ya.
We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change.